All right, guys, today we have some PlayStation news to go over and discuss once again. We're going to dive right into it, starting with some very interesting sales data that was just recently revealed. This is coming from the UK. It says that Hitman 3 has taken the #1 spot in the UK boxed charts, with launch sales up 17% over its predecessor. It says the PS5 version of the game was by far the dominant edition, accounting for 49% of total sales. The Xbox version accounted for 27%, while the PS4 version made up 25%. Now, this is just talking about physical versions of this title. So obviously it says the majority of Hitman 3 sales were taking place digitally. So we don't have that data. We can only assume that the data is similar digitally to what we're seeing here with the physical version of this game. The reason why this is interesting is because it turns out that the slight difference we're seeing with the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of games are not really making a significant difference. And Hitman 3 is an interesting case because this is one of the first games that seems to be somewhat in favor of the Xbox Series X, although a lot of people don't really see it that way because it does have some frame rate drops on the Series X, which a lot of people do not like, whereas it runs at a 60 FPS on the PS5. But this is, pretty good here for the PS5. It seems that PlayStation 5 owners are certainly going out there and buying up games, and we actually have more data here that reveals just how many games PlayStation 5 owners in particular are out here buying. And it's also good news because it does mean that more people are finally able to get their hands on PlayStation 5 consoles, thus why we're seeing such a significant surge of software sales. It says some new PS5 consoles were released in the market last week, which had a positive impact on a few titles. Spider-Man Miles Morales is up 161%, jumping from the number 12 spot to the number 4 spot. Demon's Souls re-enters the charts at number 27 with a 291% sales increase. And we also saw obviously a bump for multi-platform, titles as well. But here's the really interesting piece of data. In total, PS5 game sales increased 324% week on week. That is a huge increase. And basically what you need to know is PlayStation gamers, specifically PS5 owners, are buying a ton of games. And I also, again, have to reiterate that I think a takeaway from this is that it turns out that a console having a slight edge for a multi-platform title does not seem to have a tangible impact on how well that title is going to perform on a given platform. That's at least what I'm taking away here from this data for Hitman 3. But we're going to move on from that and talk a little bit about Ghost of Tsushima 2, or a PlayStation 5 version of Ghost of Tsushima. So Dave Malloy, the cinematic creative director for Sucker Punch Productions, has seemingly confirmed that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is indeed in the works at the Sony-owned studio. The game had previously been outed via a series of job listings at the company. Molly's biography simply states, presently working on the Ghost of Tsushima game for Sony's PS5, unless it's a PS5 version of the original Ghost of Tsushima, which is unlikely as the game was updated for Sony's new console. This is definitely the sequel. To be fair, a follow-up was always on the cards given the success of the first game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this has actually been updated where it doesn't actually reference the PlayStation 5 at all, just saying working on Ghost of Tsushima for Sony, basically. Now, I think it's very obvious at this point that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is in the works, and I just wanted to highlight this to once again show you guys that yes, this game was successful and it does have a sequel currently in the works over there at Sucker Punch. I do think it's very unlikely that this is in reference to a standalone PlayStation 5 version of Ghost of Tsushima. If that was going to happen, I don't think they would have actually updated this game at this point to make it run slightly better. Not slightly, actually significantly better on the PS5. I just don't think they would have done that if their intent was to re-release a standalone PlayStation 5 version. But we're going to finish off this video talking a little bit about Konami and Metal Gear Solid. And no, this is not a rumor. This is not a leak. So don't worry. It's nothing like that. Nothing we talk about here should really get your hopes up too high, but it is very interesting nonetheless, as Konami insists that they are not abandoning gaming despite recently dissolving their internal development teams. And on top of that, we have the cast of Metal Gear Solid teasing a reunion and letting us know that details will be coming soon. So the timing of all this is interesting to say the least, but it says, you know, you've got a bad reputation when people get excited about the possibility of you leaving the gaming industry, but that's exactly what just happened to the ever divisive Konami. In a recent announcement to investors, Konami explained that they were dissolving the video game production divisions to respond to the rapid market that surrounds us. Specifically, they said they were dissolving production divisions 1, 2, and 3, which are the only internal development teams left at the company. So does that mean Konami is getting out of the active video game development? Could this open the door to them selling cherished IPs like Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, and Silent Hill to other companies? That's what some fans quickly began rooting for, but it seems everyone was getting ahead of themselves. According to a follow-up statement, Konami is not shutting down its video game businesses, but merely restructuring and consolidating its current divisions. The announcement made refers to an internal restructure with production divisions being consolidated. We have not shut down our video gaming division. In recent years, particularly after the departure of Hideo Kojima, they have largely stepped away from active game development, focusing instead on arcade amusements and gambling machines, but they haven't totally abandoned it. Obviously, we saw what they attempted with Metal Gear Survive and Super Bomberman R. But, you know, this is a really interesting situation because, yeah, a lot of people were actually jumping to conclusions here and celebrating the fact that, oh, because they're going to shut down their gaming divisions, that means that they're going to sell off their IP, because why would they continue to hold on to it? But it looks like that's not the case here. I have to admit, I would certainly be celebrating if Konami announced that they were going to sell the Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Silent Hill IP to whoever. At this point, I feel like it would be better off in literally any other publisher's hands. Obviously, as a PlayStation fan and some of these games being synonymous with PlayStation, I think it would be great if Sony could end up getting their hands on this IP, especially owning it, but I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. What is interesting about this, though, and maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong angle, but I can't help it, as somebody who does hope to one day see these franchises return, and not just return in some weird way like Metal Gear Survive, but in a more significant way, something that can do these titles justice, or these IP justice. I want to say that because they're choosing to do this with their only internal development teams, maybe it does lend a little bit, maybe just a little bit more credence to the idea that Konami, if they're going to continue AAA development of any sort, they are going to partner with another publisher and allow other development teams to work on these games. That's just the only positive I'm trying to get out of this. I don't know if that's the case. They didn't explicitly say anything like that, so I could just be hoping for something that's just not even remotely part of reality. But there you go. Some interesting news coming from Konami nonetheless. And we're going to finish off this video by talking a little bit about this Metal Gear Solid reunion, which I am excited for regardless of what comes out of it. But David Hayter, the iconic English voice actor of Solid Snake and Big Boss, recently got together with the original voice talent of Metal Gear Solid through the magic of Zoom. David Hayter posted about the call on Twitter, teasing that details are, quote, coming soon, unquote. Naturally, everyone's already foaming at the mouth at the prospect of the long-rumored Metal Gear Solid remake being real, but let's not jump to conclusions just yet. There's every chance that this could just be the cast getting together for a get-together and talk about the good old days, which would certainly be interesting in its own right. Let's not forget that Metal Gear Solid helped pave the way for fully voiced video games all the way back on the original PlayStation. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of this. This is something that's happening. Do I assume that David Hayter, when he's teasing details coming soon, do I assume that means he's going to be the one to announce a Metal Gear Solid remake? Absolutely not, but I do find the timing of it very interesting. Even if nothing comes of this and it's literally just a reunion that they decided on their own accord to put together, I think that's great. Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game franchise of all time, so I'm definitely going to tune into that. But I think we can all agree that considering how prominent the rumors have been for the past like 12 months about a Metal Gear Solid reboot, remake, something of some sort happening, and the fact that this is happening, I don't know. I don't want to jump to any conclusions like it says here, but I do find it interesting nonetheless. And yeah, I'm certainly going to be interested in hearing this this reunion, because I mean, come on, if you're talking about Metal Gear Solid, the voice acting, I mean, it's everything, right? Like that, these games would not be what they are without this cast delivering the performances they delivered. So yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to leave it a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the notification bell. And feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.